Hey guys, what's going on? It is Wednesday, and if it is Wednesday, it is usually time, for story time with Taffy, but for the second time ever, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So my name is Woofless. The other part of story time with Taffy, you guys probably know me as the guy who edits passive aggression and basically does everything else on the channel. Ryan, aka Taffy, has been away at school, but last week he came back and did an awesome episode, a very real, true, and honest episode, so make sure you go and check that out. But in the meantime, I thought I would give my try at this again. Before we get started in the story, Ryan usually does a little bit of a channel update, and I think that is more than necessary right now. Passive aggression is still going, but it is hard as hell to get a win in Black Ops 2. If you guys do not know, we've had guests like Syndicate, BOO, Justra, Eat My Addiction, but we have not gotten a win in, I would say, weeks. And besides that, still doing some more Minecraft and Feed the Beast, so look for that on the channel. Let's move along to the story. My first story was a little bit of an interesting one. I had a lot of fun telling it. It was about my first kiss. I'll put a link in the description for it if you want to go watch it. And it was a little bit more of a male and female story. I'm gonna do another one like that. I think those are a lot of fun. You know, for my short life that I've lived so far, some relatively interesting stories that have to do with relationships and whatnot. This one is called The Cruise. Back when I was 16, I went on a very old style cruise with my entire family. The story goes that I got onto this cruise for the first time, ended up in the teenager area looking for people to meet on the first day, and there was only about 4 of us, me, my brother, and 2 guys. We ended up playing cards and slowly coming to the realization that this cruise was gonna be shitty. Not that we didn't like each other's presence, but we were looking for girls and we were looking for a little bit more stimulation. Luckily for us, one of the attendants found us in this room and said, "God, where have you guys been? We have a huge meetup with all the kids." My eyes lit up and I was like, "What? I thought we were the only kids." And she said, No, we're about over 100 kids. So there we went into this big room. There was over 100 kids waiting. We had a big icebreaker. It was a lot of fun. I'm a little bit of a joker, and I started this off in the icebreaker, popping a lot of jokes, making a lot of fun. So here we are, a group of, I would say, about 10 to 12 older kids on this cruise. I realized that this is going to be a good time. Now, I could go into some crazy detail about all the little crazy things we did, the places we went, and just the actual nice times I had with my family, but that's not why you guys are here. That's not the story. So it all started off, I would say, on about the 3rd or 4th night. The first stop we had, where we all got together, and we said, damn, we got to get drunk. And don't forget, the people I was with, they weren't over 21, and they were typically American, the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, so they weren't the best at drinking either. However, I was 16, and where I come from, you start drinking at 14. So me and my brother were kind of the connoisseurs of alcohol. So we said, guys, we'll take care of it. We went into the stop. We walked up to a depanneur, and we said, give us 2 bottles of this. And the guy said, sure, $20. And we're like, all right, we gave him money, we walked out. They don't give a shit. So we had a little bit of a problem though. The cruise scans you on the way in. They don't want you getting alcohol from outside. They want you to be purchasing alcohol on the inside. And you need to be 21 to drink. That was a little bit of a problem for us. So what I did, and our cruise was leaving in about 20 minutes. I was a little bit stressed. I ran into a Walgreens and there was an enormous line to buy stuff. And I wasn't ready to wait in an enormous line just to buy a bottle of Dasani water, 2 liters, so we can fit the 2 liters of alcohol we just bought in. So what I did was I walked around the store kind of sketchily, looked around for cameras, whatever, didn't really mind, grabbed a bottle of Dasani and walked right out the front door. When I walked out of that front door, my heart stopped. A, because I was in Cuba or whatnot, and I don't really want to get caught for stealing there. And there was a cop car literally sitting outside of the Walgreens, and I was like, oh shit. I froze for a second, realized that the alarm didn't go off, and walked away. We ended up emptying the bottles of water that we had, because we had more than one, but we needed a 2 liter, filling it up with the vodka, with the Bacardi, with the rum, with the whatever we bought in it, and proceeded to take a couple swigs and whatnot when a black woman approached us. And she was from one of the sister cruises next to us, and she said, damn, what you guys doing? And she must have been like 40. We ended up striking up a wonderful conversation with this lady, giving her just a little bit of our alcohol to warm up her belly, and we were on our way. So we ended up getting on our cruise. We ended up, moving past the security line, running away from them. We used the girls as distractions. We went through without going through the scanner. The security guard was like, hey, you didn't go through the scanner. And then we just kind of booked it and they didn't find us. It was a relatively big cruise. So the first night progresses. We get absolutely trashed when me and this Texas girl really started to hit it off. And she was older. She was taller. She was blonde. I don't know. I was this cute little Canadian kid. I knew how to play my game like I mentioned in the previous story time with Woofless. I proceeded to take off her bra with my teeth. That seemed to be the deal breaker in the good way. Later that night, we obviously ended up hooking up. It was a little bit hot and heavy. The only problem was that in the middle of our hooking up, my brother bursts into the room, mumbling his words, stepping side by side. He's not a big drinker, so I guess he stepped his bounds that night. He came in face planted on the bed. So me and this girl look at each other and we're like, okay. First things, I go to make sure he's okay. I get him up, I bring him to the bathroom, make him throw up, I get him some water, he passes back out on the bed. So here I am, half naked with this hot Texas girl. I go, Jason, wake up. He doesn't wake up. Jason, wake up. Doesn't wake up. Jason, there's a fire. Doesn't wake up. Jason, dad's calling. Doesn't wake up. So I said, okay, he's pretty much passed out. We continue to hook up. Things get relatively hot and heavy, and I was starting to get really excited. Just when things were really escalating, someone else bursts into my suite. Now, let me just explain why I had a suite so I don't sound like a pompous douchebag. We were actually paying the same price as one of the underbelly rooms, but there was some confusion between the cruise line, and they decided to bump us up to a suite room for the same price. We had a balcony, we had 2 beds, it was absolutely gorgeous. Bursting into my suite are my 2 good friends, we'll call them Matthew and Laser. Matthew and Laser burst in and beg for a place to stay and a place to kind of hook up. They have no places to go. They are also with their families and younger brothers and siblings. And I say, you know what? I am a good host. You guys can take my balcony, enjoy the sweet, salty air, and hook up all you want. So here's me and this Texas girl stuck with my brother unconscious to my right and my good 2 friends on the cruise hooking up on my balcony to the left, realizing that, well, I guess we're just out of luck. So we ended up just keeping it nice and PG-16, I guess, and remaining to just do not much for the rest of the night. After that night, of course, it was a little bit, not awkward, but we had our fun, and I think that was it. When you're on a cruise for 7 days, you don't want to stay bogged down with the same person, so I moved on to my 2 other prospects over the next couple of days. One was a heartbreaker, one was a little bit of an interesting, weird story, but I have no time for that now. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Story Time with Woofless. I know I'm not Taffy, but goddamn, I try my best. Taffy has some big shoes to fill, and I hope I did alright. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. The last episode you guys seemed to enjoy, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun. These are good fun to make, but it will not be a weekly thing for me. I just don't think I can keep up with the minimal amount of crazy stories I have, as my life is not even close to as crazy as Ryan. Anyways, on behalf of the MrWoofless channel, my name is not Taffy, and I am out.